People seem to believe that mathematics is antisocial and extraordinarily difficult, and they're not entirely wrong. I would actually go further to say that mathematics is not only difficult, it manages to make you feel guilty for feeling it's difficult. It has a wonderful dual property in that proofs often go from seeming to be impossible to so obvious that you wonder how you could never, or how you didn't understand them in the first place. Moreover, mathematics can be an extremely solitary activity. Not only do you spend the majority of your time staring at blank pieces of paper, even when you manage to gain a flash of insight, almost no one can understand you. Most people think a compact space is a euphemism for a small living environment. At least they nod their head in agreement when you say compact spaces are closed and bounded. So why are we here today, having spent 4 years in the dark monolith that is Evans Hall, instead of throwing frisbees on Memorial Lake? Are we simply the university's largest unofficial club of masochists? My road to majoring in mathematics began when I was a young child. I was hopelessly enamored with the notion of becoming a mad scientist, or perhaps, more accurately put by Sanjay Kulkarni, a mad engineer. My dream was to build extraordinarily elaborate contraptions that would... Well, I was always more interested in the process of creation than the result. Then, in the first few years of high school, I was sure I would become a physicist, discovering the nature of reality through experimentation and the scientific method. It was around this time that I was somewhat ironically struggling with trigonometry and began getting tutored by a now close friend, Jason Johnson, who was then a Caltech graduate student. I still vividly remember our first meeting. I was waiting for him in a coffee shop when someone in their mid-20s walked in the front door. I knew it was him. I waved, he waved, we introduced ourselves. It was not him. Luckily, we did eventually meet, and after a few minutes of discussion, sometime during which I imagined he decided to completely ignore trigonometry, we sat down and he said, "Okay, let me show you some real math," while writing down the fundamental theorem of algebra. It was during this first tutoring session, where I was shown Euclid's proof of the infinitude of primes and was led to show that the square root of 2 is irrational, that I had my first aha moment with regards to mathematics. Those who have not had the opportunity to study mathematics and have such an aha moment, perhaps having been delusioned by a high school math teacher who stressed the algorithm and not the idea, can never appreciate the extraordinary beauty and human element of mathematics. How in 2 proofs of the same theorem, one can perfectly elucidate the heart of the problem, while the other feels like an endless, undirected slog. Mathematics is a trove of some of the most stunningly elegant ideas ever conceived that almost no one attempts to understand. Access to these beautiful ideas, along with the professors to explain and contextualize them, is the first gift of the UC Berkeley Mathematics Department. In few other universities in the world can you find such a strong faculty who are intimidating in their intelligence, but so kind, if quirky, in their demeanor. Yeah. But 10 years from now, it will not really be the theorems or the ideas that stay with us. Even for those of us who go on to graduate school, how often will it ever be relevant that lambda entire functions are constant, or that there are no non-trivial automorphisms of the real numbers? What we have learned is secondary to how we have learned it. As I innately knew as a child, the process is more important than the result. When we thought we were learning mathematics, we were actually being taught how to think, how to take an overwhelming challenge, break it apart, and solve it on our 1000th try without being disillusioned by the 999 failures that preceded it. We have learned that we cannot expect to understand everything immediately, but trust that we have gained the ability to do so eventually. It is this intellectual perseverance that will help us succeed in whatever we choose to do. Before ending, I would like to bestow some gratitude upon those who have helped me get here. First, to my friend and tutor, Jason Johnson, for the inspiration to study math and his unwavering confidence in me. To Professor Chris Manning, for being able to make me passionate in whatever he happened to be teaching, and for being, as my friend Zengwen Zhou described, the person to go to when you understand something and want to be confused. To Xiaowei Lin, a former postdoc at Berkeley, for taking me under his wing and showing me some truly extraordinary mathematics. to my advisor, Professor Bernd Sturmfels, who has been extremely supportive in helping me participate in research, apply for graduate school, and much more. And to my grandfather, for without his love and unconditional support, I would not even be graduating today. And lastly, and most importantly, I would like to thank my mom, who has encouraged my curiosity, believed in me wholeheartedly, and helped me through all of my existential crises. But of course, I forgot one thanks. Thank you all for the honor of speaking before you today. I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. Go Bears.